All right, so the soon-to-be world famous
Yes,
Noble
yes.
Riot fried chicken there.
Yes, this is amazing.
I'm happy I'm gonna eat some of this. I smell it every night. So I'm gonna talk about some other wine for a second while I pop this open, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is an example of a wine that I really like to champion. It's the Pet Nat style.
Okay.
You'll be hearing that a lot these days in the wine world, especially with this kind of renaissance of wine drinkers, right? It's a style of wine that finishes fermenting in the bottle. Right?
Oh, okay.
To keep the story short, instead of fermenting completely, being dry and being done and then bottled, a wine like this gets bottled when it's at about maybe 8 or 9% alcohol and still has sugar in there, maybe about like 20, 15 grams per liter. What happens is the wine finishes fermenting in the bottle, so the sugar goes away, the alcohol comes up, but the yeast never gets a chance to leave, right? Because it's not taken out. So what you get is a sparkling wine. They're often under a crown cap like that. That has a little bit of like texture and color and murk in it, which is great. This is like really a great example of the wine that I love to sell, but that I love to drink. Producer here, Massamago, they're in Veneto, so northeastern Italy around Venice, using a grape called Corvina, which is famous for really old school wines like Amarone. Valpolicella is a lighter example. We can go down a rabbit hole talking about grapes. The basis is that this is a red grape made into a rosé done in a non-traditional style for the region, but in a very ancient wine style, and it's enjoyable for everybody. And this is like a really great example of what I love about wine and the wines that I work with. It's just exceptions to the rules. Right? So, cheers, man.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes. This is really good.
You want a drumstick? You want a thigh? You want a breast? What are you going for?
I'll get a drumstick.
Okay. Yeah, me too. I like meat. So this chicken kept us alive. Like
I want to hear. Yeah, tell me about this.
So this predated the whole pandemic. I know everybody's sick about talking about it, but wow. Let's see. It was about January, February of 2019. So really before everything stopped. We noticed that in our service we had awesome service from right when we opened at 3, and then it dropped off like right at 7. And then we were dead for an hour or two, and then right about 9 until close, we popped off again. And we figured out that it's because we didn't really serve dinner. People would come here first, drink some wine, get a little buzz, and then go out to dinner, or they'd go out to dinner and then catch some wine for dessert, right? Because we didn't serve dinner, we just served snacks.
Tapas and finger to foot type.
Olives, cheeses, great things, but not dinner, right? So then it turned into, well, we need to figure out some food that works with all types of wine, but we also want to be true to, I'm not wearing a tie while I work. I'm not, we serve great product and we care about it a lot, but we're not a fancy place. Which I think is what people love about us.
I feel like it's just relatable. Like that's what I noticed, even because I did events over here at False Ego and on the rooftop over here, and then that's how I even saw Noble Riot. But I was all like, yes, it's really, because that's even why I wanted to get into wine, is kind of to bridge the gap between like people 25 younger range to like really start getting into it, because for a long time I feel like it's been held by like 30 and up type of people, and like people my age are just more into like getting mad hammered off like hard liquor, and it's like, no, like this is art right here. Like
exactly. Well, I think that's exactly on the nose. That's what I try to do personally, and we facilitate that really well here. But I think a good word for that concept is just accessibility. We want to make wine accessible to anybody. Any age, so long as they're old enough to drink. Any creed, any background, like whoever you are, like wine is for people. And that's what we do here. So anyway, with that vision, we were like, all right, how do we find some food that's going to be, just work with all of our wine, but also keep it humble, keep it chill. We're like, fried chicken. It's great. It's crunchy, it's hot, it's salty, so it's a perfect pairing for wine that cuts through the weight of the fried. It's hot, the wine's cold, the salt balances like the acid and the fruitiness. It's such a fun pairing. So we decided, all right, well, let's do buckets of fried chicken and buckets of champagne, right? We called it Noble Riot.
I love that. I love that. Noble Riot. Yes, you heard it here first.
That's right. And then not a month later, the pandemic shut the industry down.
Yeah.
And we stayed alive because instead of being this dope sit-down place where we are now, we sold wine to go and buckets of fried chicken in brown bags out the door for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and that kept our lights on. So big shout out to everybody who bought fried chicken and wine from us during the hard times.
And it's really good, by the way. This fried chicken.
It's really good.
Yeah, I can't even lie. There's not a lot of places where I'm all like, this is good fried chicken, but no, this is very valid for sure. Obviously, we're pairing this. What are your typical things to pair with like a red? Or is it different when it goes from like, all right, so from a cab to Syrah, is there any really difference in what you would pair food-wise?
Not a huge amount. Okay. I mean, so I think that I'll say this. The two ways that I like to pair, and tell this to everybody you know, because this works really well.
Okay.
Is there's the parallel pairing and the perpendicular pairing, right? Okay. So the parallel would be things that are similar to each other should go together. So a great example of that would be like, a fresh garden salad with like, tomato and veggies and vinaigrette, something that's really, really bright and fresh. If you're drinking that with like Prosecco or Albarino or Sauvignon Blanc, something that's really like bright and crispy and angular, that's like, it's perfect together, right? Or another example of like a parallel pairing would be like that Syrah and that Cabernet with like a nice cut of steak, some grilled veggies, maybe like a starch, some mashed potatoes or rice or whatever. Some more weighted flavors, more spicy flavors. Those things will also complement each other really well.
Gotcha.
So I would say, I think that's pretty well known. Red meat and a deep red, right? But then I think a really fun pairing and a really exciting way to pair would be like what we're having here. Sparkly rosé that's bright and fun and lively. That's like scrubbing bubbles through some like weighted and like greasy and crunchy and like hot food like this. That'd be a perpendicular pairing.
Oh, okay.
Or something like maybe some like slightly sweet wine with like really salty cheese.
Oh, okay.
If funky blue cheese with like something like dessert wine. That's like completely different flavors.
Yeah.
But it's like salted caramel.
It's like that sweet, tangy type of duality where it kind of neutralizes everything. I feel that.
And that's kind of that juxtaposition, because cuisine and wine and all of these things, like they are art. It's a living art.
Yeah, literally. That's why I love it. It's like how it's processed, made, the whole thing. Like I love it. It really is art.
So it's very akin to having melody and rhythm together in music, or shapes and colors, or there's this composition to an experience that and that's another thing that I love about this work is it allows us to be super creative because we can transcend the experience from just being flavors, because you've got the people you're with, you've got the music that's playing, you've got the building you're in, the wine you're drinking, like all of these things pair with each other. And that'll drive a lot of what I pair as well. If there's a vibe in the place, somebody's having a birthday or just kicking back, if there's like a party environment, whether I'm really aware of it or not, I'm gonna be pouring like more fun, more lively wines. Where if it's like snowing and people are down, it's just kind of like chill Sunday night, maybe I'll pour wines that like are a little bit more slower moving themselves. So that's, I kind of got off topic.
No. I love it. I'm listening. Also, because I'm a big pasta guy. That's what I usually get when I'm at a restaurant, and I'm diving into like Pinot Noirs more. What would you like pair with like a seafood pasta, or even like seafood pasta, but even something where it's on the lighter side of like maybe white sauce and Alfredo, or even to like a ravioli where we're using like tomato sauce. So is there, what would you put towards those type of dishes?
Yeah, so I mean, in my heart, and I think in a lot of people's heart, pasta is inseparable from Italian cuisine.
Yeah.
There's good chefs everywhere in the world. There's great places to have pasta, but like, if you're really doing pasta, you're doing Italian food.
Yeah.
So I would go Italian wine.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
And you know, I'm glad you asked that. Is that really this grape we're drinking, but in the way that it's historically and classically made, being Valpolicella.
Yeah.
Is that's what I go for. Something that's a light red that has really nice earth tones to it, but it still has some acid to combat the starchiness of pasta and kind of the weight that can be there.
Yeah.
But it's not so heavy that it's going to destroy the delicacy of a dish that maybe like, you know, it's like a white sauce pasta. Because you don't, what you don't want to do with pairing is compete.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit of friction is great.
Yeah.
Right? It's a little bit of contrast.
Yeah.
But the second you start mashing
Override,
flavors
yeah.
together, because that's just having a conversation and everybody's yelling.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You can have a you know, hot conversation that everyone's enjoying themselves and heard.
Yeah.
Right? But when people are yelling, it's not productive.
Exactly.
Same thing
Same
happens in
thing.
your mouth, right?
Okay.
So my answer to pasta would just be like, keep it light. You know,
Light?
keep it fresh.
Okay.
Have you been overseas, like to France or to Italy and stuff like that? Is wine labeled by a region? It's labeled by the region, right? Like Bordeaux, Burgundy, like all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Is the grape actually different, or is it just like the region that it's grown in? Like what makes it, so if it's like grown in like Bordeaux, like what makes it different from like Burgundy, or like what, is it the air? Is it like what differentiates like the grapes and the wines and like the region, and why does a region play a significant role into the wine?
Right. Well, I mean, I guess the short answer is that like everything matters, but also everything doesn't, right? I said there's always an exception to the rule. But like, you know, to say the difference between, you said Burgundy and Bordeaux, those are like two big buzz names in French wine. Bordeaux is located southwest in France. It's coastal. So you get a little bit more incubation from the sea, or not incubation, insulation. So temperatures don't fluctuate as much. So that's part of the difference between a place like Burgundy, which is more mainland France.
Yeah.
So you get hot days and cold nights, a lot like Colorado is, right?
Yeah.
So that's one piece of it. But then the other thing is the grapes used in a place. So there's all of these variables that you kind of have to plug into the machine. But a good kind of guiding line for people is that the classic wines from a region are classic for a reason.
Yeah.
So, you know, Burgundy, while you could technically grow any grape there, Pinot Noir for red wine is going to be the wine of Burgundy. Because that's where it finds its home. That's where it's over generations, you know, adapted subtly and developed and evolved to really shine. In Bordeaux, that the truth would be said about Cabernet, Merlot, things like this. But I think it's also kind of fun to see where you can branch out from that. But I think the biggest thing to follow is things that make regions different. It's not necessarily the grapes. It's the climate and the soils, right? So the quality of the earth and the quality of the air are going to more or less stay the same in a region. You know, our climate's changing, our world is changing, so that's a huge topic, and that's a whole other can of worms. That said, a region will have its reliable characteristics, and there are grapes that just do better in a certain place.
Got you.
Right? Which that's an exciting thing for me, being, you know, a young sommelier in a changing wine world. The amount of new and fresh and experimental and exciting wines that are coming from a place like California or Colorado in my own backyard, we're really starting to see people find combinations of climate and earth and grape that benefit the wine more so than just benefit the sellability of wine. And what I mean by that is you think like grapes like Pinot Noir and Cabernet and Chardonnay, which are all three great grapes. Because people know those, that's the first thing people plant when they go somewhere, right? So they're saying like western slope of Colorado, a place like Palisade, that's like some of the first stuff that went in the ground. Because that's pretty much guaranteed going to be recognized. And that's guaranteed going to be sold, right? But maybe those grapes aren't perfect for that area. So you start planting some other things that might work better in the area, and that's when you start really making some magic. So I know it's kind of a long answer, but
no, that was perfect. That was perfect. I needed that. And I had a psalm tell me something before, because he was saying like you want, I think he I don't even want to say because I might butcher it, but he was all like he was saying something where do you want an old vine or you want a new fresh one?
So, if I was making wine, which I hope I do someday, I would be really thrilled to have older vines. And I would say for this reason is that evolutionarily, grapes you could think of as the escape pod for a vine, right? If a grapevine is living in absolute perfect conditions, it won't even make fruit. The fruit is the grape's is the vine's mechanism for saying, I don't want to be here. I want a bird or an animal to eat me and go plant my seed somewhere else, right? So if a vine is like stressed out, struggling a little bit, it's gonna do everything it can to make its grapes the dopest that they can be. So then those grapes go somewhere else. Now humans, we've figured that out, right? A long time ago, we figured that out. So we figured if you withhold a little bit of water, or if it's a little bit hot, or so many different variables. But if there's something stressing the vine out, it's gonna do its damnedest to make the best fruit it can. And just like any organism, age is stress. Right? So an older vine is going to put much more energy into fruit so it can reproduce instead of putting energy into just growing and living itself. Right? You know, so when a vine is in like the winter of its life cycle, which there's a little bit of debate, but grapevines will produce fruit for about 200 years.
Oh, wow.
They can get old, right?
Oh, I didn't even know that.
But they can't live forever.
Right?
Okay, So if you're thinking like old vines, normally vines are beginning to be called old around like 40, 50, 60, 70. Right? So the big thing from California is like old vines in Zinfandel. That's stuff that's like 70, 80, 90, 100-year-old vines. And old vines exist pretty much everywhere there's been vines. Blah, blah, blah. Your friend was right. Older vines are going to give better fruit because that plant is throwing a Hail Mary, saying, this is everything I've got. Get me out of here. And that's just what it's going to be.
Dope. And you said soil matters too. Is it a specific type of soil being used? Is it like natural dirt that has just been like chopped up? How does the soil really like? Because I'm not a farmer or anything like that, but what significant role is it? Just makes the vine grow better, or?
Yeah, I mean, just like any plant, any person, anything, you need the right nutrients, right? You need the right materials to go into the vine to make it thrive. And, plants need any number of compounds, and I'm not a wine grower. I'm not a chemist or anything, but there's like calcium, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Like there's all these things that every plant needs to grow, and some soils just have more abundance of that. Right? A very classic example, and this is also a little bit of context for why a wine like Champagne would be so expensive, is because Champagne sits on top of a geographical fault called the Paris Basin.
Okay.
It's super old. Like we're talking like millions and millions of years old.
Okay.
And at a point in time, mainland of France used to be a shallow sea with like a bunch of sea creatures swimming around there.
Yeah.
Now that sea dried up, and all of those fossilized bones from the fish and whatever there are still in the soil, right? And they are present in the form of chalk, like calcium carbonate, right?
Okay.
So if you look at, if you look up on the internet soils in Champagne, they're like snow white, like your shirt.
Yeah.
And those materials in the soil give certain attributes to vines that you just can't get anywhere else, because that's where it is, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the kind of nebulous answer is plants need nutrients.
It's just
put that in the
nutrients,
soil. But that's a part of why regions have limits.
Yeah.
Is because there's only so much space to grow a vine on.
Exactly. Okay, because I was also told, and the guy who actually told me about the aged vines, he was at Balustrade as well. But I was told also too that like becoming a somm, you basically had to like also like mention the soil used. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean it's part of the conversation. Like when I said taking that test, on that written test, there's questions about what kind of soil is in this place, what kind of benefits would limestone give to a vine versus granite versus chalk versus clay, like all of these things.
Okay.
And it just comes down to understanding the machine that is wine. And understanding the vine, it can be a party trick, or understanding the soil can be kind of a party trick. You can say, this place has this soil, so it's this way, and like that's fun. Yeah. But it's also for a wine grower, that's paramount. Knowing, like I was saying, finding the right grape for the right place for the right climate. One of the pieces of that machine is, what is the soil like? What's the dirt like? Okay. What vine's going to be happy here? Here's an example for you. So, back to Bordeaux in France. There's two main areas. There's the left bank and the right bank, and those are two banks of the Grande Estuary, which is a chunk of water that runs straight through Bordeaux. On the right bank, there's going to be more loose soil, more gravel, and more drainage. And a grape like Merlot thrives in more loose soils. So right bank Bordeaux is going to be a Merlot heavy wine. Where if you're looking at the left bank, I got that backwards. No, the right bank is more clay. Less drainage. Merlot likes that. On the left bank, you're gonna have more gravel and stuff, more drainage, and you're gonna have Cabernet there. I'm glad I caught myself. So stuff like that is one soil type here, one soil type here. Both in the same, the same clouds over the same place. But the soils are different, so the grapes grown are different because they benefit differently from different parts of the earth.
That is amazing. Okay.
Because I know you said earlier, like, there is hype behind wine, but what truly does make a wine valuable? Because I was looking up wines and I seen some for like 20,000, 30,000. What makes it that? Why is that valued at that? You know, because I wouldn't even want to drink it at that point if I'm holding that type of wine. But what puts a high price on that?
Sure. I mean, this, it's kind of a philosophical question as well, because like, what's valuable to us, right? But to answer the wine question is really, I think the amount of a wine that exists is a huge part of it.
So if it's limited,
if it's exclusive and limited, that's one piece. The quality of the fruit, right? So if it's something that's made, that's like, if you think like Grand Cru or Premier Cru, if you've heard those things.
Yep, definitely.
Those are all rules and areas drawn out on maps that have recognized that this is a very good place to grow grapes, and it's finite. So that's a piece of it. And then there's also stuff where, like, if you age a wine in oak barrels are expensive. So that's going to be part of the pricing to it. Now, for me, what makes a wine valuable isn't the price tag, right? I would rather drink, hundreds of $50 to $100 bottle of wines that are made by someone who's stoked on what they're doing, who care about what they're doing, who's excited about their project and passionate, than drink one $100,000 bottle of wine, which if it was open, I'd have a glass. Right?
Of course.
But I'm not going for that, right? So the way I assign value to wine is a lot like the way I assign value to art. Is the person who made it, did they care? Because if they cared, I'm gonna care. And that is true for the most expensive wines in the world, but it's also true for the stuff I drink the most of. $40, $50 bottles of wine from small producers who, they're the winemaker, they're making their product, but they're also driving their forklift. Their feet are in the dirt. That's where I find value in wine, is the people who do it right, do it small, and have their heart in it. Just like an artist, just like a musician, just like anything else.
Alrighty, I got one more question for you before we wrap it up. What advice would you give anybody trying to become a somm?
To answer that question, I'd say any advice to give someone who wants to get into wine, go easy on yourself and understand that it's a lot to learn. And understand that no matter what, there's always going to be something else to learn. Don't let that be the reason why you don't start. Right? If you want to get into wine, buy a few things, see what you like, and if you say, I like this, read about it, get in there. But just don't be afraid of it. Allow yourself to be confused and allow yourself to be overwhelmed, and don't let that be the reason why you stop exploring. Because wine is such a fundamental thing in enjoying food and culture, and it's such a fun thing to share with people that it breaks my heart when people shy away from it because it seems like too much. Everything's too much. So my advice to somebody getting into wine, aside from coming to Noble Riot, because this is a great place to do it, is just cut yourself some slack and know that if it's a new thing for you, there's gonna be things you don't know, but just in that same topic, there's gonna be things that you'll discover, and that is a great feeling.
Definitely. Well, thank you, my man. I appreciate the facts, the knowledge. I definitely learned. That last question was honestly for me, because I definitely want to dive more into this industry for sure. I love it. I'm an artsy dude. I'm a creative, so like anything that is expressive and like I'm into culinary too. Like I love to cook and stuff like that. That's another reason I kind of got into wine. But I would take that advice and go head forward into it for sure.
Won't drink to that.
Hey, thank you, my man. I appreciate you, Quinn, for real. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is, we're wrapping up with our Wine Wednesday with Vino. We are currently at Noble Riot. Thank you, Quinn, again for giving the knowledge, and we are out. Thank you.